Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're looking at Peripheral episode 4. Sorry this video is a little bit late. The episode dropped on Friday. Today's Monday. I was just busy this weekend. And I also want to say this right off the bat. I watched my last video last week. I realized I'm not as enthusiastic in that video as I usually am. Or I'm not usually enthusiastic, but I do have some sort of passion when I cover these episodes. And I think just for this show, I'm just not as excited about it yet. I think I'm intrigued by it. I think I'm interested by it. And I think it will lead to something that is going to become really good. I think so far, though, I really haven't been liking it all that much. If you guys have seen my ratings at the end of the episodes, I'm rating them around like a 3s, 2.8, 2.9. And I just haven't really been as enthralled with what we're getting or excited about where it's going. But I do have hope that it's going to lead to something good. And this ending of this last episode gives me a lot of hope because I thought it was a great ending. So for this video, I'm going to be recapping the whole episode. Probably do it fairly quickly. Now that this video is a little bit late, and you guys have probably seen other reviews and recaps and stuff, whatever. I'm going to go by it fairly quickly, give my thoughts on it. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it. Please subscribe if you are new. But let's talk about the Peripheral episode 4. Alright, so this episode is titled Jackpot. Jackpot is referring to the apocalyptic event that happens in the future. So in the beginning of this episode, we go to London 2075, where we see a young Wilf and Aelita trying to survive after this jackpot has occurred, right? It's all like smug and there's smoke everywhere. We see that they're pretty much homeless, living with other homeless kids, and they get tricked into being captured and taken prisoner somewhere. Could this be before that flashback that we saw with them earlier where they get adopted? Or maybe this is after. I'm not really sure where the timeline is at. But if I had to take a guess, I would say this is before they get adopted. And then maybe they get captured and then they get taken to this adoption center. Or, the two are going to go to jail, so they get taken there. And then they get adopted. And hopefully we see where that story goes after. So after this, we get to, like the modern day future with adult Wilf. He's talking to Lev, updating him on what happened last episode where they went to Aelita's lair and they found all this new technology. And he was just kind of referring back to him what happened in there and what they found, right? So Lev is a little suspicious about this. He's worried that Aelita may be dead, if she's going on without her implant. But after this, we go back to Flynn, who's having some side effects from her video game headset, data scanning, futuristic trips that she's taking, right? Her eyes are all bloodshot. She has an argument with her brother. She seizes up. The brother takes her to the hospital. And this is where Flynn's brother, Burton, right? He actually tells the doctor what is actually happening to her, and I feel like he was always wanting to keep this sort of contained, right? Not letting everyone know. He got mad at Flynn when she told her best friend. Now he's telling some random doctor about like why she's having the seizure because she's in this video game futuristic technology type of simulation thing, right? So he lets her know that, and the doctor pretty much recommends to not do this anymore, right? Which is pretty obvious. But after this, we go to Charisse, who I know she's like the big bad of the series. I think she's kind of like annoys me. Like I think because we don't know much about her and she's so cryptic with the way that she talks, it pisses me off like when she goes and she's having these long conversations with people, because I feel like she's just hiding stuff from, I guess, us as the audience, or it's the writers really doing this, like keeping us on our toes. But we don't really know her motive, or like even when she talks later on with Lev after the scene I'm about to talk about, she doesn't go into full detail about Jackpot or what's stolen from her. Like she's just very mysterious about the way, she's moving, which, hopefully it just leads to something that's actually worth it. But for right now, I'm like, I just wish we had more of a clear understanding about this character. But she's able to, I guess, re-upload some sort of consciousness of her old bodyguard friend Daniel into this robot. And he's able to give her the details of his last encounter with Flynn and Wilford, right, at Aelita's lair, and kind of updates her on the connection with the Wilford and Aelita and Lev and everyone else, right? So then after this, she goes to Lev, who I guess is like her enemy, and they talk again, like in this cryptic stuff. They do bring up Jackpot. They go into a little bit of detail about it. They talk about world order and violence, and again, just stuff that wasn't too clear. But after this, we go back to Flynn, and her brother Burton's not letting her go back into the simulation, right? Because he's worried that she could seize up, and they don't know if this is a relation. So he has their friend Connor go in for her, right? And so he sort of just goes and just starts running around, doing whatever. Ash and whoever's like in charge of that body of hers in the future quickly realize that's not her, and they shut it down, right? We then go back to Flynn, who's in this VR experience, which is able to, I guess, have some sort of first-person point of view of any video, right? Just a virtual reality thing, which is probably more realistic than the technology we have now with virtual reality. And Flynn is in there. Wilfred comes in and sort of like interrupts her home video thing, and they start talking. And they're talking about siblings, and this is where Wilfred sort of admits that Aelita is his sister of sorts, or not sister and brother by blood, but because they grew up together in that orphanage, and then probably after another home, he admits that Aelita is his sister. So then Flynn also admits that she did some research on Lev, and she pretty much implies that Lev is a person that brutally murdered his own family. And she sort of hints at Wilfred, like, this can't be your Lev, right? And he says no, but in the back of his mind, he probably does think it is. As we'll see in the next scene, or whatever scene's coming up, he does confront Lev about this information. So yeah, now in the next scene, Wilfred goes to Lev. He says straight away, like, I heard this information about you killing your whole family. Like, is this true? And Lev just comes clean about it. And this is where I always thought he was going to be a bad guy or whatever. His motives were never really that clean or good. But this is where it kind of makes him a very blatant villain, right? Because he admits to not only killing his family, he says that would be too harsh. He hired the right people to kill his family. I think it was him and Aelita. They were trying to like tinker in the past, trying to see like what they could do to further benefit his current situation if they could mess with the past. So he has family killed, and he just wiped out his whole lineage. Is what he said. He wanted to keep things clean, which is a pretty sick thing to say. So now cutting back to Flynn and this whole ending, right? She wants to go back to simulation. Burton and Connor are still skeptical about her going back in, but she wants to, right? So they sort of agree after a little bit of argument, but they also want their own bodies to go into the future as well, right? So she agrees, and she tells Ash right away if she can get them bodies. And I think Ash says yes, but then she's going to go and explore. So after a little bit of like a hacker battle on both sides, Ash is able to sort of cave in and explain to Flynn what happened to all the people, right? That was her main question, is like, where is everyone? So she explains the jackpot, and this was like the best scene of like, probably, I think for me personally, probably of the whole show so far. It actually raises stakes and kind of gives us a better idea about what's going on. Now, I know it's a show. I know we're not going to get all the answers in the first episode, second episode, third, whatever. And I know it is a little bit slow build, but I liked that we have at least something in this episode where I feel like the first three, there wasn't anything that was too big. They got me excited, like this moment right here, right? So she shows her the jackpot, and it was like a slow build. It wasn't just like this one catastrophic event that happened that wiped everyone out. I think they say that it was like famine, war, climate change, weather. There's a pandemic, right? Which was kind of like stood out for us now that we actually went through a real pandemic. Doesn't seem too far-fetched that something like this could happen. And then at the end, I think there was a nuclear war, or a nuclear bomb at least, that was close to where Flynn lives, like pretty much right where she lives. That was like the last stamp on like this jackpot thing that took everyone out, right? So she gets all this information. She goes back. Connor or her brother asks, like, what about the bodies? Can you get us the bodies? And she says she's working on it, but her mind is somewhere else, right? Her mind is thinking of the jackpot stuff that she just saw. So I think the one thing that I think is the biggest thing here is when she says that that nuclear bomb is like right where she lives. And that, I think, is just a further clue that, like, obviously she's not like just some random person that was chosen to be like in the center of this all. Like the fact that the bomb was close to her home, like maybe someone was targeting her specifically, or she had something to do with that nuclear explosion, or maybe everything. So that's what really keeps me locked in this show, is just that main moment and Flynn's connection with that jackpot, right? Everything else with like Charisse and Lev and even like the brother and even Wilfred and the flashbacks, it doesn't really do too much for me. And I get that we need more for like a show. We can't just focus on like that one event and this one character. We need to focus on other characters. I just don't find the other things that interesting. I think when they have like a hit on them, which they still do, and that neighboring person whose name I'm forgetting now, the cowboy guy, going after him. We haven't seen him in this episode. I'm guessing we'll see him in the next episode. I found that all interesting as well. But I still am not like hooked into the show yet. Now, I do hope and I do think that maybe towards the later episodes I will. But I do feel like the bulk of these episodes I'm not that invested in. So my overall rating for this episode's 2.9 out of 5. Like I said, a lot of backstory in this episode, a lot of just drawn out conversations about sort of the same stuff that we already knew about. Good furthering character development and getting to those characters more. But I do want some more upping the antes, upping the stakes. Like we saw in that last couple of minutes of this episode, I wish there was more of that throughout the episode. Maybe some more action. This is a sci-fi show, but it does feel like a very dreary one that, like I said, I'm just not fully on board with yet. But let me know down below what you think of episode 4. What do you think of this? What do you think of the series so far? Do you think it's going to end on a high note, or do you think this could be like another hit and miss and we get like a cancellation after season 1 or something like that? But let me know down below what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it. Please subscribe if you are new. But I will see you on the next video. Have a great rest of the day.